News on NTA International. I'm Nancy Angonigu, and on sign language is Shengu Ajayi. First, the headlines. President Bola Tinubu promises even development of all sectors for the benefit of all Nigerians. Federal government evolves multi-sectoral approach to stem terrorism and violent extremism in northern part of the country. Nigerian Bar Association's 2023 Annual General Conference underway in Abuja with discussions bordering on economic advancement of the nation. And now the news in full. President Bola Tinubu says under his administration, every sector will be accorded priority to achieve overall economic growth. President Tinubu, addressing the inaugural Federal Executive Council meeting, acknowledged that the times are hard and the expectations are high from Nigerians. State House correspondent Musbao Wahab reports.
Monday is an unusual day for the Federal Executive Council meeting. So too are the new faces infused with some familiar ones in the council chambers. So exchanges of pleasantries were in order for the emerging Team Tinubu. But with the arrival of the president, there is a sense of urgency. They answered the call and swore to so serve the nation, and the president clearly appreciates the enormity of expectations from Nigerians, and that he presses home to the consciousness of the ministers.
The expectation is high, and there's tough time right now. We must work hard, commit ourselves, and create a buoyant economy that will serve every Nigerian. We are from an employment level that is not acceptable. We are threatened by climate change. But to turn things around, you have been selected to perform your utmost best.
Hitherto, the president and his advisory council had covered some distance in the implementation of his policies and programs, and he wants the ministers to catch up towards actualization of various agenda, particularly the state of emergency on food security.
We have declared state of emergency. What is your goal? Every one of you is a member of this team. No partitioning. We must start to produce for ourselves, dig ourselves out of the hole. Focus on education, healthcare, make social investment that is essential for the development of our people.
While including every sector of the economy in his priority list, the president says his administration will leverage the human and natural resources in the country to grow more and satisfy Nigerians. On all of these, he emphasizes on sense of urgency. From the State House, Musbao and Wahab, NTA News.
Nigeria has huge economic potential to eradicate poverty in the country if attention is given to key sectors. This was part of the views of keynote speakers on the topic, Getting It Right in Economic Development, Harnessing Potential, Addressing Challenges at the 2023 Nigerian Bar Association Annual General Conference in Abuja. Austin Anyebe was there.
The one-week conference outlines several issues for discourse, and to kickstart discussion, the conference is looking at the state of Nigerian economy. The aggregate opinion of speakers is that the oil sector accounts for 95% of Nigeria's foreign exchange earnings and 87% of its budgetary revenues, but with several resources the nation is endowed with, there is a dear need to diversify to other sectors.
Human resource is not Nigeria's problem. Manpower is not Nigeria's problem. It will be surprising for people to know that we actually have uranium in Akwa Ibom State. Uranium is something that is prevalent all over this country. Lithium is something that is prevalent all over this country. Gold, bauxite, the whole of the southwest is a limestone belt that we can use to make as much cement as we want.
While acknowledging constraints such as inadequate infrastructure, tariff barriers to trade, lack of confidence in currency valuation, and limited foreign exchange capacity, the section stressed the need for involvement of professionals, including lawyers, in making the shift from a mono-oil-dominated to a diversified economy, particularly agriculture, manufacturing, and tradable services. Attracting investments from Nigerians in diaspora in different sectors of the economy is also key to getting the economy right.
A country of about 378 ethnic nationalities, which is supposed to be our strength, it has become a cause of a kind. It has become an albatross, a bane to our development.
Lawyer doesn't mean you have to practice law. It's very important. Having a degree is an enabler. That gives you a plate and the cutlery, but it doesn't guarantee that food will hit that plate.
The conference suggests ways out of the challenges occasioned by the removal of fuel subsidy.
Saudi Arabia is ready to give us oil, fuel, while we pay naira, no dollars. It is the dollarization of the economy that you are not addressing at the root cause of our problem.
From Moshood Abiola Stadium, venue of the conference, Austin Anyebe, NTA News.
And the Nigerian Bar Association, as the largest bar on the continent of Africa, is advocating a rejig of the economy for the benefit of all Nigerians and to shed light on the NTA 2023 Annual General Conference holding in Abuja. I have with me in the studio a member of the Inner Bar, Echo Ejembi, Echo, S-A-N. You're welcome, Leonard Silk.
Thank you.
Now, day one of the conference centered on discussion on the state of Nigerian economy. From submissions and your own view, how do you think we can get it right?
Well, the first, primal and foremost thing that we should focus on is strict, uncompromising and undiluted adherence to the rule of law. The rule of law is what puts everything together. If we expect this country to move from the rut that it has been stuck in and to make progress in any direction, the rule of law must be adhered in any aspect, in any ramification whatsoever. With the rule of law, the economy has to pick up. But without strict adherence to the rule of law, the economy will suffer.
The rule of law, very, very important. And that's, okay, there seems to be a unanimous call on the government to fix the refineries, as that could solve the current problem occasioned by the removal of the fuel subsidy. Are you in agreement with this call?
In the long run, I agree. In the long run, once the refineries start to work, it's a question of simple demand and supply. If the refineries work, the cost of fuel will drop. But we should not look at just the renovation of the refineries as a solve-all for the problems that we are having. The government should also think about giving licenses for modular refineries. Let the local producers, let them get supervised, let them get regulated, let them get allowed to also refine. So in addition to the government-owned refineries and the private-owned refineries, modular refineries are bound in many parts of this country. The government just needs to bring them in and regulate them more, let them produce. It will help the economy one way or the other. And it will also help to bring down the issue and the hardship being suffered by Nigerians as a result of this fuel subsidy. Because with more products, of course, the prices will come down.
Okay, the NBA always holds this conference with discussions on key national issues. Do you think government is taking advantage of recommendations for national good?
Yes, I must commend them. Each and every time the NBA holds this conference, stakeholders from the government are integrated into the conference. Good enough a thing for this particular government. We have senior lawyers in the executive of Mr. President. And we believe with that kind of interface and interaction, we should be able to, as a pressure point, so to speak, get our ideas into the people who are taking the responsibility of enforcement and implementing them. Okay. Most of these issues are not just what you can wish away. We hope that the government will listen more to the lawyers. Not that the lawyers are a panacea to the society ills, but with them listening to us, participating more and following precisely and doing what ought to be done, it will go a long way. The government before now has taken the cue from what the NBA says, but we hope they do better. That is all.
The government takes the recommendations from the Bar Association. Thank you, member of the Inner Bar, ECHO, HMB ECHO, SAN. Thanks for lending your voice to the government's effort at rejigging the economy.
Thank you.
The federal government has alerted states and relevant government agencies over plans by the Cameroonian government to open the floodgates of Lagdo Dam on the Benue River. A statement by the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Foreign Affairs says the Cameroonian authorities will open the dam in days ahead due to heavy rainfall around the dam catchment area in northern part of the country. The statement urges government emergency management agency NEMA to take necessary action that will mitigate the damage, as well as sensitize the states and people living in such areas for violence and all vigilance rather, and all precautionary measures. The Nigerian Society of Engineers says the federal government must, as a matter of urgency, commence the implementation of all recommendations its organization made to its government. President of the society, Tasiu Saad Gidarugudil, gave the advice in Abuja while briefing newsmen. He said that despite the fact that the floodgate must be opened, Nigeria must find a way around it to avert the devastating disasters capable of claiming lives and causing damage to property and infrastructure.
The long-term solution and the medium-term solution is to build more dams. If you have dams on River Benue, you'll be able to, okay, stop here. We'll be using you from time to time because you'll be generating electricity with it. Now we don't have anything, so it goes into the floodplains where our people have built their houses. And we have stated clearly, our government has plans to build these dams. It has been designed since to build these dams, and we don't know why subsequent governments all this while have abandoned those issues. So it is now for government to sweep into action, and I'm sure the Minister of Water Resources will act on this, as he's one of us, and we'll be talking to him, we'll be talking to government on this.
Tasiu Saad Gidarugudil said the floods are arising from excessive rainfalls due to climate change and global warming. Now, in a significant step towards enhancing higher education cooperation, the Gambia's Minister of Higher Education met with the Acting Executive Secretary of Nigeria's National Universities Commission, NUC, in a bilateral meeting aimed at furthering collaborative efforts between the two countries. During the meeting, both parties underscored the historic ties that have bound Nigeria and the Gambia in the field of higher education. Quality assurance mechanisms and capacity building emerged as focal points, with Nigeria's experience in maintaining high standards and quality in higher education becoming a subject of interest for the Gambia.
From well-educated citizenry, and that cannot be done if it is not anchored on higher education. And we are here to see how best we can continue working together and building capacity, especially at postgraduate level, or our different staff from our different satellite institutions.
We will expect a formal request from the side of the Gambia, so that we can begin to, in the succeeding months and weeks, begin to take a look at numbers, the institutional affiliations where these scholarships could be attainable.
As the meeting concluded, both parties expressed optimism for the future of their collaborative efforts, with a renewed commitment to building on the existing foundation of cooperation. China will no longer require a negative COVID-19 test results from incoming travelers starting Wednesday. It is a milestone towards ending the virus restrictions imposed in China since early 2020. Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Weibun announced the change at a briefing Monday. China ended its zero-COVID policy only in December after years of draconian curbs that at times included full city lockdowns and lengthy quarantines for people who were infected. As part of those measures, incoming travelers were required to quarantine for weeks at government-designated hotels. The curbs slowed the world's second-largest economy, leading to rising unemployment and rare instances of unrest. This is the news on NTA International. More reports when we return after this break. Thanks for staying with us. Uganda's civil aviation sector has been riding a tailwind of success this year, with the number of international travelers surpassing that of pre-pandemic levels. Let's now join Adebola Brooksland Sunday for details on the recovery.
Data from the Uganda Civil Aviation Authority shows that the number of international passengers passing through the Entebbe International Airports, the country's only international airport, reached about 843,000 in the first half of the year, up 19% from the same period last year. Officials attributed the increase in air traffic to a relaxation of COVID-19 travel restrictions around the globe.
Also, the country and the aviation industry resolve to ensure that we implement world and national guidelines to the latter.
With more inbound visitors, local travel agents have also seen a rise in business, which they said, beside leisure travel, some people are taking same-day trip for business purposes.
For example, Uganda Air, which flies to Nairobi twice a day, morning and evening. So a business traveler can go in the morning and come back to Uganda.
Uganda's aviation authority said it expects the ongoing upgrading and expansion project of the Entebbe International Airports to drive air traffic up even further.
For this upgrade and expansion projects, our expansion of Apron 1, whose works are ongoing, and construction of a new passenger terminal, which is 20,000 square meters, that will be joined with the current passenger terminal.
The upgrading project is expected to be completed by July 2024. Adebola Brooksland, NTA News.
At least 23 people were killed in an armed clash between Yemen's government forces and Houthis in the country's southern province of Laj. Here again is Adebola Brooksland Sunday with details of this and more.
Scores of Houthi fighters launched a surprise attack on the government troops in Laj's Yafei region, sparking fierce fighting. Military officials said the clash killed 15 Houthis, 8 pro-government soldiers, at least 10 more. So far, the Houthi group has not responded to the clash. The latest attack has tested the recent UN-backed efforts to defuse tensions between the Houthis and Yemen's internationally recognized government. Yemen has been embroiled in a devastating civil war since 2014. The Yemeni government and Houthi forces have engaged in several rounds of negotiations facilitated by the United Nations, but a comprehensive resolution to the years-long conflict remains elusive. In another news, 1 year after historic floods devastated Pakistan and a national state of emergency was declared, United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, said millions of children continue to need humanitarian assistance and access to essential services. UNICEF said recovery and rehabilitation efforts remain underfunded and estimated that there are still 8 million people, around half of whom are children, who live without access to safe water in flood-affected areas. Over 1.5 million children required life-saving nutrition interventions in flooded districts, while UNICEF's current appeal of $173.5 million to provide life-saving support remains only 57% funded. Last year, floods submerged 1/3 of the country, affecting 33 million people, half of whom were children. Adebola Brookslyn, NTA News.
As part of a broader effort to reduce the cost of governance in Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu has directed the Federal Ministry of Foreign Affairs to freeze the processing of visas for all government officials seeking to travel to New York for the United Nations General Assembly, UNGA, without proof of direct participation in UNGA's official schedule of activities. In a statement via his special advisor on media and publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, President Tinubu hinged this on the need to prevent sharp practices, directing the U.S. mission in Nigeria, Nigeria's permanent mission in New York, and MDAs in Nigeria to be guided accordingly. Now, Nigeria is developing a comprehensive, sustainable, multi-sectoral approach to stem terrorism and violent extremism in the north. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports that the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu stated this in a message to an ongoing workshop on challenges and innovations on countering terrorism holding in Abuja.
Since the September 11, 2001 terrorist attack in U.S., violent extremism have grown in scope and sophistication, destroying lives and property in many countries, including Nigeria. In response to this deadly global security challenge, Nigeria is upscaling its defense capabilities through the combination of kinetic and non-kinetic approaches, with success stories of deflating the fighting force of the terrorists that have ravaged the Northeast for over a decade, leading to mass surrendering of the criminals.
Nigeria in 2017 developed the policy framework and national action plan for PCV. This policy framework is a complementary whole of government and whole of society approach for addressing threat posed by violent extremist group.
Realistic innovations in countering terrorism and violent extremism will require multi-sectoral and multidisciplinary approaches to develop comprehensive and effective solutions, including counter-narrative, dialogue, and mediation, as well as community resilience.
This workshop, organized by the African Center for Strategic Studies, Alumni, Nigerian chapter, in collaboration with the National Defense College and other foreign partners, is to identify challenges and potent innovation to stem violent extremism, a global monster truncating socio-economic development.
This symposium seeks to bring in new impetus, new ideas, so that we can better manage security regionally.
It's important that you look at the bigger picture. We have events like this to capture some things that are done well, to try to stay dynamic and proactive at addressing these challenges.
The forum seeks to promote knowledge sharing, national security, sustainable development, and rule of law through research and consultations. From the National Defense College in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA News.
And up next is Tuesday's Weather Prospect. And that's it on the news on NTA International. On behalf of Shegun Ajayi, who's been on sign language, this is Nancy Godiangoni, who thanking you for watching.